What's up, YouTubers? Welcome back to the Poseidon Show. Today's show is going to be a little different. I actually have my first interviewer who came over my home, is in the studio here with us today. Today I have the Matunuck surf rat. That's Bruce. Works and lives out of Rhode Island. He actually visited me for the last few days. We went fishing. You'll hear later. You'll hear about that later. It was a nice trip, good fun time. Would have been better if we caught fish, but other than that, we had a good time. Definitely a good time. So today I'm going to have him on. We're going to ask him some questions. Maybe you guys can listen on in. You might learn something. Bruce has been fishing a lot of years. I consider him a very good surf fisherman. He's also in the site surfratsball.com. We've seen each other there. That's run by Bill Wetzel, New York State fishing guide out of Montauk a lot. So he's on that actually every Friday night answering questions. So we're also members there. So right now, without any further ado, let's meet Mr. Matunuck, surf rat himself, Mr. Bruce. How you doing, Bruce?
Good. How you doing, Eric?
Fabulous, fabulous, buddies. Good to see you. Glad you're on the show. So you came the last few days. We went fishing. We went over here by the river. What were you expecting on the way down here as far as, all right, you saw my site, you're a subscriber. Tell me what you expected. What were you expecting?
Well, I knew we were going to be fishing the Hudson River area, which I never fished it before. It's a lot bigger than the rivers we have in Rhode Island. Rhode Island, we have Providence River and the Seekonk River, which, they're same thing, fresh water running into salt water. Stripers hold over there quite a bit in the winter weather. And then they migrate up into it in the fall. Well, in the spring when they chase the herring in the bunker up there. We're just starting to get fish trickling in now. But Hudson River is a lot bigger area than I thought of. And all my experience has been with fishing lures.
Right.
I've never fished bloodworms before, but I know that's what everybody does over here in your area.
Right.
And I think I saw one guy fishing lures yesterday, and
I know.
He didn't really seem like he was into it too
Yeah,
much.
I asked him, I said to him, how come you're fishing with lures here? And he looked at me right in the eye and he goes, because I like fishing with lures. And I looked at him and I smiled. I said, no problem, buddy. Enjoy your time. Guys, we went fishing together. Unfortunately, we were very unlucky. I did learn something after fishing the Hudson for so many years. We were fishing, and as Bruce can remember and can attest to, that we were planning on doing a night fishing trip that night. And we started fishing, and we watched a couple of people picking up a striper here and there, but towards the evening hours on the outgoing tide, all of a sudden, this gentleman next to us was just nailing them. And I'm talking nailing them. If you show up to the show tonight, that'll be on the 18th, if anybody missed it, at 7 p.m., oh my goodness, this guy was just nailing fish. His first fish, 33-inch, 12 and a half pounds. And let me continue by saying 10 fish caught. Nothing was under 26 inches, nothing. He had a couple of 30s, 131. I mentioned the 33. This guy was just tearing him up. And me and Bruce were maybe 20, 15 yards to the left of him, and we weren't doing anything. So all we were thinking of is, oh, okay, he's got a little groove there in the water, a drop, something going on. But he was catching them, and we weren't. We weren't even getting a bite. So finally we started creeping closer, and he was like, come closer. And finally went closer. Still nothing. Then we realized, we looked at his rig earlier, and the rig was just like, it wasn't the top of the line. I was looking at it like, what is that? Now, I had a leader that was 3 feet long. All right, I understand now for you guys who fish the rivers, I wouldn't use a 3-foot leader again for the rest of my life, because what we realized was we were trying to figure it out. We were sitting there with Bruce, and we were saying, what's going on? Why isn't he catching fish? I mean, what were you thinking, Bruce? Let me let you tell the story.
I mean, this guy pounded fish probably for 2 hours straight, and he was fishing 2 rods. He'd be reeling in one fish, the other rod would be going off. Somebody else would have to grab his rod. And he was throwing bloodworms on a 5/0 hook with 2 ounces of weight off the bottom, just like we were. But he was tying his hook direct to his braid, which I've never seen anybody do. And he was tying his sinker about a foot up from the hook, where the hook was. And we're using, what every surf caster does pretty much is running 3 foot of, 40-pound leader with a fish finder and letting the bloodworm just float around. But I thought he was in like a rip or a current break, and I was looking at the water, the tide had turned, and it was definitely outgoing. It was flowing left to right, and I thought he was just in the right spot. But then, he was a real nice gentleman, and he told us, like, come closer to me. Just, if we cross up, it won't be any big deal. He was still catching fish. I caught 1 18-inch fish in about 5 hours of fishing. Eric got a catfish. He was kind of disgusted with that.
Yeah.
What we think is that with the fish finder and the long leader, that with the currents under there.
Show them with your hand. I mean, that thing was probably waving around. Like,
we're running this much leader, and I was thinking that the bloodworms flying all over the place.
Exactly.
Those fish are working on smell and sight at that point, and they were just keying right in on his bloodworms. He was using a big piece of bloodworm too.
Big.
He was picking up.
We matched the bloodworms. I did everything like he was doing.
Yes.
But I feel like if you guys look, it was like that leader was floating in the water, and there was a little bit of current. And here comes the striped bass, and you see this. This is your eye right there. And the thing probably got spooked. Yep. So it didn't go near our line. I mean, we weren't even getting bites. But his leader was about this long. I would say about 8 inches.
Yeah.
It was tiny, and I was like shocked. But what was happening was in the water, that weight was dropping, hitting the bottom, and that leader that was this long maybe was doing this.
Staying in one spot.
And the fish were hitting that like crazy. He was landing them. That was the mistake we made. I even spoke to Joe Biezhavenka. I asked him, I know he did some bait fishing before, and he told me never use a long leader, especially in rivers, because it'll float around, and like I explained to you, the fish got spooked. But Bruce was a good sport of it all. He was like, well, he goes, at least I didn't get skunked. No, he didn't say that. But he was a good sport all the time, and we had a good time. You get to know somebody who's brand new, so we did a lot of talking, and
met some nice people, had a good time. It was cold, windy, miserable, but
when you see the guy catching so many fish, we didn't give up hope. We were like, all right, maybe instead of putting 6 bloodworms on the hook, let's try 7 this time. Nothing was working. We had it all set up wrong. I had it set off wrong. I'm pretty sure Bruce would have figured out this issue a long time ago. And here I am, ha-la-la-la-la, and this is the first time this happened to me. I never had a problem catching fish there until yesterday, until those currents were kind of rough under the water, and that's why it made sense. And I also want to thank Joe Biezhavenka for that one, for that little tidbit he gave me.
It's not a total loss when you go out and you after you fish and you take a beating like that you actually learn why you took that beating, and I think that was the important lesson
without a doubt. That was a good lesson.
If we went back there today and we did it all over again, we'd probably
kill them.
Fish left
Especially the sun is out, blue skies, temperature, big change like that. The water's going to heat up. God bless everybody who's fishing down the Hudson today. Anyhow, let's get a little more into this. So, Bruce, I know you're an avid surf fisherman. I've seen your pictures. I've seen you many of times doing your thing, and I get all the pictures. And the best thing I got from you last year, which was sort of still a beginning being on YouTube for me and all that, but what I got out of it was that you gave me some great fishing reports, dude. I mean, this guy was going on his phone, right? And he's sitting there and he records himself on a selfie, and he comes up to me and he's like, check this out. Sent it to me on email. I saw it, and I was like, it was like a news report. It was like I was actually friends with Walter Cronkite. This evening's news, striped bass. Are you fishing for them right now? Should you be fishing for them? Let's look at the current. So he gave me the current, the tides, the winds. He goes, the way I see things is in about a few days, you'll have him down in Montauk. And he gave me that, the Italian thing. You'll have him in a few days, hey, they're coming. And once you hear that, they're coming. So I remember shooting out to Montauk, and I was telling my friends, how do you know? Who's this guy? You're just going to land, whatever, Montauk. So I went out there, talked to a few people before. It's been kind of dry. I spoke to one of my buddies out there, Chaz. I'm like, get ready, they're coming this week. And Bruce hit it right on the nose. You hit it right on the nose, Bruce. The stripers were there in a few days, and I was there, and I got to enjoy that run. That was a good a good run. And then you kept giving me reports. I never thought of posting them online, but this year, guys, get ready. I'm going to be getting some nice reports from Bruce. So that's why if any of you guys are interested in learning when to catch fish in Montauk, keep in touch with my site. Subscribe to my channel. I have those reports on for you, especially coming in the fall season. Bruce will let me know when those stripers are coming down. I mean, he's paying them a lot of money for this, so make sure you watch my channel and subscribe. Other than that, Bruce, when did you start out in the surf cast? And I mentioned you're an avid surf fisherman. How did you get into this? Why did you get into this? We are the bulls of the business here. I'm not saying we're the best or you shouldn't be doing anything but surf casting, but all fishing is great, boat, whatever you like to do. But I want to know how you decided to pick surf casting.
My grandfather and my father, they took me a lot when I was younger. Not surf casting the way I do now, but we fished a lot off jetties. We were bait fishermen back then. Going for fluke and stripers and blues, whatever we could catch. We'd throw plugs once in a while. And I remember being about 12 years old. We always had a beach house in the summer. That was our vacation. I was telling you about that earlier.
Mm-hmm.
And every year, it was like the end of August, beginning of September. And that's when the blues were really hitting Rhode Island hard back then in the 70s. And my dad and my uncle would get up early and go out. And I always wanted to go with them because they always came back with bluefish.
Right.
I don't know how we ate that stuff, but my father cooked it on the grill and we ate it.
That's it. This is what fish tastes like. It's great.
Right. Back then, I thought it tasted a lot better. I just thought it was a cool thing.
Of course.
And then finally one year, my father and my uncle woke me and my brother up at like 4 in the morning and took us for a sunrise bluefish trip. And I'll never forget that I was throwing a blue and white Adam Popper on top to bluefish. And I hooked a bluefish, and he come up out of the water like they do. They fight so hard, pound for pound. They are tough.
Right.
And back then I probably thought it was a 40-pound fish. It was probably maybe about 8 pounds. And I had this cheap Garcia reel, and I was reeling, and all of a sudden I was turning the handle. I think I had one of those. and nothing was happening. The gears had stripped right out of the reel. Probably not because the fish was so big, but lack of maintenance on my saltwater gear when I was 12 years old. I think it was probably deteriorated. It was all made of cast aluminum back then. And
so tell me, Bruce, I see that. All right, so you got into the surf fishing thing. When did you start hearing about the stripers?
When I really got heavy into stripers was probably about 5 years ago when Rich from Fishaholic was going to school in Providence. He went to Johnson Wales University. And, I was fishing in the Providence River, just hacking around. I used to go maybe once a month, something like that. Just something to do on a boring day. And I saw him catch stripers, small schooly fish. I talked to him. I caught a couple of fish on top water. And, he told me, check out my YouTube channel. And I watched him. And then I started watching more and more of the stuff he was putting up. He was fishing heavy.
Yeah, his early days were totally Long Island, Montauk.
And there was some good fish around Rhode Island then, some good fish around Montauk.
Sure.
And I just said, wow, Van Stoll, Lamb of Glass, GSB, I got to get some of this stuff.
Yeah, and then you found out what the price was, and you're like, this Garcia reel looks great.
Turned into a disease, definitely.
Definitely, without a doubt.
He's the one that really motivated me to get going, and
no doubt about
Bill
it.
Wetzel, and I met Eric, and good people. I've met all good people.
Yeah, our surf industry or our surf community, I feel we got a lot of good people in the community. I could see from the YouTube channel I started, there's a lot of people that really love to surf fish, and they're all over. I mean, you can talk to any. It's like in life, you find another guy, he's got something in common with you. It's great. You meet him on the beach, and you're blabbing away. You don't even know this guy, but it sure is nice. You're talking about surf fishing or whatever type of fishing you guys out there decide to do, whether it's boating off a pier, on a beach, on a rocky beach. It's just nice to meet another fisherman out there because, we're a rare breed, I feel. So when you meet somebody else outside, you never, you don't know, and you ask them, hey, you go fishing? Oh, yeah, I do. I go surf fishing. And you hear that, and you're like, what?
Yeah.
It's very rare, but it's a good feeling, and that's why I say we got a nice surf fishing community. It's nice. A lot of fun. So, Bruce, I want to know, when did you really now, okay, so you noticed everything, you got all your gear, and how was it, man? You were going out and you were going hunting for this elusive striper that we all want to catch. How was it?
I made a decision early, well, not early, but you know, right after I talked to Rich, and I decided I was only going to fish with artificials. I do some eel fishing in July and August at night, and I'm strictly a catch and release guy. I've kept one fish in 3 years, and that's because the first time I tried using a circle hook, by some miraculous reason, the fish took the eel like all the way to its anal vent, and it was just not coming out, and I knew if I released it, it was going to die. So I took it home and I ate it, and it was pretty good. It was a lot better than bluefish.
That's right. But, there you go. That's when you tried it, and you were like, what was our dad feeding us? What was that fish?
Yeah. But I think if you go out there and work hard and pay attention to what other guys are doing, you're going to catch fish. You know, the fishery isn't the greatest in the world, but there's quite a few bass around, a lot of small bass, not big bass like there was when I was a kid.
Right.
But the key is to work hard, buy good equipment right from the beginning. If you're going to get into this, don't buy cheap equipment. Because,
absolutely, buddy.
You're going to end up buying the good stuff anyway if you enjoy it. And using artificials, it definitely takes a lot of practice. Knowing when to present the lure, where to present the lure, what to use at certain times. I've learned more information off YouTube.
That's right.
And reading and Surfcaster's Journal and Surfride's Ball. Surfride's Ball is a wealth of information. And everybody on there, they're not going to tell you spots where to go fishing. But they're going to tell you what to use, how to use it, when to use it. And the best money you can invest in the world is going out with a professional guide like Bill Wetzel.
Like Bill Wetzel. I wanted to interrupt you. I didn't want to. That was a good thing you said because, you know, he just mentioned to you, you know, winds, temperatures, tides, moons. Once you know, start really, you know, using that information you got, whether it's from Surfride's Ball, whether it's from Bill Wetzel, whether it's from you watching YouTube, once you finally gather all that information, all those things you call the spots, I promise you, you really won't need them. You'll be enough educated that you know where to go now. You've been doing this for a few years. You're not going to become a surfcaster, you know, a surfcasting guy. You're going to learn this information, and you're going to use it to your advantage. You're going to say, hey, this is good. This is, the tide is that. If I go there, doesn't have to be the spot, but I might have a good chance of fishing. And then you do go that night. You get a little lucky, and you do catch fish. Why? Because you took all this wealth of information, you inherited it, and now you put it to use. So that's why Bruce mentioned, you know, you meet people and you watch what they do. Some of them are talkers. You listen to what they say. You're going to pick up a wealth of information. And always, you know, being in touch with the right sites, whether it's Surfcaster's Journal, whether it's Surfride's Ball, and going out with the right guides. Now, I've been out with different guides. And I got to tell you, the only guide that stands up in my books, as you know, and I mention it again, is Bill Wetzel. He's a superior guide. He's going to teach you. He is not just going to go fishing with you. And that takes dedication, and that's what that man will do for you. Other than that, I'm going to go back to Bruce again. And Bruce, I want to hear. So now in today's times, you're a man now. You're grown up. You got kids. Do you take your kids fishing with you?
I have two sons.
Yeah.
One is 29 and the other one's 26. And the older one, he comes with me. He brings his dog, but he doesn't usually put a fishing rod in his hands. He's very, he's a serious animal lover. And my younger guy, he comes with me. He loves to fish. He's gotten into surfcasting more the last couple of years.
Right.
When I had a custom GSB built for him and kind of pushed it in his hands and said, you work too hard, you need to come out with your dad.
That's right.
And he's learning a lot, and he really loves it. And when the three of us go, it's great family time. Even though one of them doesn't fish, he's always yelling at us to hurry up and put the fish back in the water.
There you go. That's when you know you raised a good boy right there.
Good boys, and it's great bonding time with my sons. It's the best thing in the world.
So, Bruce, what I wanted to ask you, what you mentioned was with your kids going fishing. I love that part. To all the moms and dads out there who are listening, it's a beautiful thing to get together with your kids every sport, no matter what sport they like, you can bond with that. It's baseball, football, hockey, whatever it is. Sports, fishing, bowling, I don't care what it is. If they like it, you can bond with your kids real close when it comes to that event that they liked. And I know that fishing is a fabulous event. Why? Because best fishing to take your son or daughter in the beginning is bait fishing. Start them off with a little bait fishing. You don't have to put them out there on the lure. And I'll tell you why. Get to sit next to them while you're waiting for that hit. If it's not a day where you're constantly going to be hitting, but you can have nice conversations. Hey, you're catching, you're right next to each other. You're interacting. It's a beautiful thing. So when I heard him mention that when he goes fishing with all three of them together, all three of them together, it's a beautiful feeling. You ever caught a really big fish, Bruce, that you're proud of, or what's your biggest of your life?
I haven't broke 30 pounds yet.
Yeah, me neither. Me neither, guys.
I think my biggest fish was about maybe low 20s, 22 pounds, somewhere around.
Mine is 22.75. I beat you, Bruce.
Yeah. That's you got a beautiful fish at the river this year.
Yeah, that was a nice
real
fish. That was a nice fish.
I mean, for the winter fishery, that was amazing.
That was amazing. Yeah.
Excellent. It kills you, when you go out there and you fish your heart out. You're trying hard. The big fish, they're there. You just got to know how to find them. And then, when you see somebody, I mean, I'm glad it was Eric that caught it.
Yeah.
That catches something like that in February, and you're like, Jesus, I can't catch that thing on a live eel in July.
I was
lucky. What
lucky.
the hell's going on? And it's all a matter of, like I said, put your time in and find the right spots and be there at the right time. I think your best bet is to pick 2 or 3 spots and fish the hell out of them at all different stages of tides, different winds, water temperatures. You really got to learn those 2 or 3 key areas. And once you find those 2 or 3 key areas, then move on and work another 2 or 3 areas, and keep a log, write everything down, record it, whatever you have to do, so you know when it's going to fish good.
You're absolutely right, Bruce. He said it right, guys. Remember, I always stress, put in the time. Put in the time. Don't go fishing once and go, oh, that stinks. Yeah, it's going to stink. It's only going to be good for 1 out of every 20 fishermen. That way you catches a fish. Put in the time. You want that big fish, put in the time. Obviously, me and Bruce put in the time, and we watched other people who went right next to us for the first time and landed a 40, 50-pounder, which to me happened, 54-pound fish the guy landed. I met him the week before. I told him, come. He came, he got off his surfboard, he put his rod in the water. I think he had one of those, what'd you call that rod earlier, Bruce? That Christian rod you bought, that Garcia rod?
Yeah.
Whatever it was.
Abu Garcia.
Abu Garcia, one of those. And I see the guy's got an Abu Garcia. I don't even know how he pulled in the fish. But we'll tell that story again one day. I've told it before, but it happens. You got to put in the time,
It
Bruce.
can happen at any time to anybody. It's so much. I mean, catching fish consistently is skill and work, but luck plays a big part of it. When you see somebody that went to Walmart, I'm not knocking anybody or anything here, and just buys a Shakespeare rod, goes out there and throws a hunk of squid, doesn't have a clue, and then reels in a 40-pound
It's so true.
I've seen it happen.
To all the Walmart fishing guys who got those fish, very nice, buddy. God bless you, man. It'll never happen again, though, I'm telling you right now. But anyway, I want to continue a little bit more. So your wife, I want to ask, do you go fishing with her?
Yeah, I fish with her. She's kind of tiny, so she hasn't really caught anything big yet. She's caught a couple schoolies. She likes fishing for tautog. She likes doing the crab thing as long as I put the crabs on. And
yeah, right. I put the bloodworms on.
Yeah, I unhook them, I bait them, but I really enjoy having her with me. It's a different kind of fishing when I go with my wife. It's not more as combative, I would say. Like when I fish alone and I'm fishing for stripers, I fish kind of hard.
Right.
When she comes, it's a much more relaxing day. She really likes to come with me. She'd probably love to come with me all the time, but she hates the cold, and she hates getting up early in the morning. So if she's going to come, it's going to be a night trip.
Right.
It's great to have her there. She takes great pictures. So.
Yeah, that's same thing like you, Bruce. I'll bring my wife. As long as I put the worm on or whatever bait's going on the end of it, she'll go with me. And you know what, guys? Sometimes you got to give up a little. If they're going to say they're going to come, you make it as easy as you can with them. Get them on that fish, too, so they can feel that bite on the end. And they're going to like it. They're going to want to come with you guys again. So don't be afraid of putting on a little worm or crab or whatever you got to put. And when I say afraid, just do it. Do it because that's what they want. Make it as easy as possible so they can go with you as many times as possible. But Bruce, also I want to continue on saying, coming up to the end of this this interview, so I want to ask you, Bruce, so you've been fishing all these years, you're putting in the time. Do you ever think of like, oh man, I got to hang this up one day? Or do you feel like you're going to go on forever, Bruce?
That's probably one of my biggest fears is I love this. I fell in love with this so much in the last 4 years. I'm scared of the days when my legs don't carry me out there anymore, and I really I got to make an effort this coming winter, this off season. I got to hit the gym as soon as fishing season's over to stay in
I'm in
shape.
that boat.
Because I sat on my ass all winter, and now that I'm starting to do those long walks, walking jetties, walking beaches, I'm feeling it. And Bill Wetzel, I've heard him talk about, going to the gym, staying in shape. He skis a lot. And,
he does.
I mean, that man works his butt off to fish, and he does a lot of walking. And I know to keep doing this, I mean, I'm 55 now, and if I want to keep doing this for another 10, 15, 20 years, I'm going to have to stay in shape all year long, keep my legs strong. I got to give up the cigarettes. That's my
Yeah, that's it, Bruce. We all have something in our lives that we have to give up.
Yep.
I gave it up today. My pineapple cup is not behind me.
I'm going to do this as long as I physically
Yes.
can. I will do this.
That's what I love to hear. So I was going to say also, so Bruce, I want to say thank you. Do you want to add anything, Bruce, here? Do you want to tell anybody anything, any tips, anything? Whatever. Just, anything you want to add to surf fishing.
The biggest thing to me is treating the fish properly. If you're going to keep a fish to eat it, make sure it's the right size. I don't have any problem with somebody keeping one fish and taking it home for dinner. But, if you catch a nice trophy fish, you catch any fish, if you're going to take it out of the water to photograph it, take it out, photograph it, release it quickly, and make sure it revives. Make sure it swims away. Don't throw it down in the rocks. Don't toss it like a football. It's a living thing for one. And to guys like me, Eric, and a lot of other people, it's a very valuable living thing.
It is.
It brings a lot of joy to people. Brings a lot of money into states and fisheries.
That's
and,
right.
Trying to make things better.
That's right.
Above all, have fun. Do it with your family as much as you can. It's great to go out alone, but it's also great to get out there with your kids, with your wife, and spend some quality time. And you meet great new friends like Eric. He's a fantastic guy.
Mr. Poseidon. How you doing, guys? So we was talking about Eric. So I want to continue on saying, Bruce, I want to say thank you very much. I want you to know that I had a magnificent time fishing with you. But I did take that one picture. We had a wonderful time. I want to say thank you. We had a good dinner last night. Bruce has got a long ride back home. I know his honey's waiting for him. So we're going to end this right now. I want to thank everybody. I want to thank my subscribers out there. For those guys who are watching for the first time, please subscribe to my channel, like it, and share it with people. I strive very hard to bring you good content and also the live streams. Every Sunday, 7 p.m., Tuesdays and Thursdays, if I'm not fishing, 7 p.m. It's a beautiful thing. Thank you, everybody. Thank you to Bruce. Thank you again, Bruce.
Thank you for having me, Eric.
And thanks to everybody out there. Thank you very much. And I'll see you guys on the next show. Mr. Poseidon, out.